Okay, let's talk about improving your bullet points. Here is a really useful technique. When you've got a CV that is in need of more bullet points, try the following. Pop into ChatGPT or equivalent, Copilot, Claude, whatever. Pop into your local LLM, right, and ask, and just say, I was a data scientist or a data analyst, and I was responsible for doing XYZ for a media company, right? So you don't have to identify the company. Don't give anything confidential, of course, to these things, right? But just high level, and just say, what kind of bullet points should I have on my CV, and press go. Now you're going to get a big outcome, right? And you can say, give me more to ChatGPT, right? Give me more job responsibilities, and it will just keep throwing stuff at you. At no point am I suggesting cut and paste from any AI, at no point. However, they can be really, really effective in reminding you and giving you brilliant explanations and inspiration for what you should have on your CV. So sometimes it's so difficult when you're staring at a blank page and you're like, what was I? Right? So take a 2 or 3 line description, type it in to ChatGPT and say, what do you think? Right? Now, it will give you a whole lot of stuff. Some of it will be irrelevant. But some of it is inspirational. Some of it you'll go, oh, yes, of course, I did that thing. I did the events. I forgot about this, right? Let me put that down. Bullet point, okay? Maybe 2 or 3 bullet points, okay? Then ChatGPT might say, oh, yes, it will give you, it's really good for inspiration. Again, don't cut and paste anything from it. You write in your own words, okay? But what I'm suggesting here is when you're looking for inspiration, because it's got the sum of all human knowledge, it can roughly tell you what it's expecting that job role or that type of role is going to be responsible for. And that's great because it can open up a whole side of your role you'd forgotten about, or a whole side of your role that you weren't thinking about, that you can get down and start making the bullet points for. Right? So use it for inspiration. It can be really, really cool. And I've done it myself, and yeah, I recommend this. I've done this with one scenarios where we're sitting there going, okay, look, just cut and paste that paragraph. Nothing confidential, of course, before you don't put anything confidential into these AI systems, but you cut and paste it. Right, now put it in, give it what you've got, okay, and say, how would you give me more? Say more. And then these systems are really good at going through all of the world's data and finding patterns that they're expecting to see on a job description. This is immensely powerful. It's a great tool, a great technique to try and discover the things that you're already doing. You are doing this, right? But you've forgotten about it, or it's not on the job spec. Because often there's some stuff you're doing that isn't on your job spec, or you're overlooking the importance of it. Because often when I do this one-to-one with candidates, we're doing this and they go, oh yeah, of course. Should I put that down? Yes, put it down, right? Because it's defining what you're doing and it's a key aspect of your value. So it's a very, very useful technique to find, for example, I was working with one colleague recently and very into data and data management, and they'd forgotten about formatting data. Because when you're managing data, one of the key things you have to do is format it and check the quality of it, right? You have to do that anyway. Now, he'd forgotten that he hadn't mentioned it, but his CV looked so much better because he said, data formatting, or something like that, right? And, it showed an attention to detail, an attitude to his particular role that every other candidate will have to do anyway, right? They do that too. It's just he has said it on his CV, and that it can be the difference why you're going, oh, I like this guy, right? This feels, but right, because you've actually been able to describe the value. So there's a perspective. The other thing you can do with these systems is take your CV, stick it in to ChatGPT, etc. Of course, spell check, grammar check. You can also say, look, how do you read this? What do you think? And it can challenge you. Now, often I would suggest a lot of the stuff is inaccurate, right? Or it will say, oh, you must do it this way or that way. Take a view. At least you're getting a perspective. But what you can also say to ChatGPT is, how would you expand this? Okay, now, again, a lot of it's going to be inaccurate. You take responsibility for the outcomes, of course, right? make sure that it's good. Predominantly, I would be using it for inspiration. That's how I use these things, and it can be tremendously valuable. So do try that out when if you're struggling for bullet points. If it can suggest areas or ideas that you can then grab, throw in the bullet point into the system, into your spreadsheet, into your Word document, into your CV, and then start filling it out. What you can also say to ChatGPT is, look, here's 3 bullet points. I need them to be actionable. What ideas have you got? And then it can come up with some ideas. Again, make sure you're taking full responsibility for that text that it's generating. Okay, so it's better if you're just using it for ideas, and then you're making the edits yourself. So I wanted to just talk about improving your bullet points as an important aspect there using AI.